Salut téléspectateurs, bienvenue à l'édition Teleskopi aujourd'hui. Nous allons parler d'un sujet qui a une importance extraordinaire dans la communauté, non seulement dans la communauté haïtienne, mais tout à travers toute Miami-Dade County. Nous allons parler de santé mentale, importance de faire conversation ouverte autour de santé mentale. Et pour aider nous aujourd'hui, eh bien, nous avons une émission assez spéciale parce que nous avons un paquet d'invités qui a aidé nous faire émission aujourd'hui en anglais et puis nous avons fait avec collaborateurs nous, avec équipe Sant là. Donc nous avons commencé in English to start with, then we're going to welcome Susan Ratcher and Denise Barris,
yes.
Right? Both of NAMI, right? To help us start the conversation today. I want to welcome both of you and thank you for joining me today. And as I announced, we're talking about mental illness or mental wellness. And so before we get into the important details, I'd like both of you, or either you, Susan, to tell me a little bit about NAMI.
Sure, and we are so delighted to be here. Thank you, Gepsie, and thank you to the crew. NAMI is a National Alliance on Mental Illness. It's a national organization. We represent the Miami affiliate, and we're focused on providing NAMI services that Denise will outline for you to residents of Miami-Dade County. The interesting and very impactful aspect of NAMI is that it's composed of people with lived experience from their communities with mental illness or with caring for an individual with mental illness.
That's
we are volunteer-driven, grassroots-driven. I'm a volunteer. Denise invested 2 years of her life as a full-time volunteer to help relaunch NAMI in a very strategic and very energetic way in Miami-Dade. The organization had stagnated for a bit, as you well know, nonprofits can do from time to time. And a new leadership group came in, which Denise and I, Anna and Vanessa, who you'll meet later, and several who aren't here today, restarted NAMI 2.5 years ago. And
so
it's a
NAMI
great
a
story.
National organization?
And we are a local affiliate of a national organization.
Been around
And
how long, roughly?
NAMI started in 1979, and the Miami affiliate started around that time. Each affiliate is separately funded, separately governed, and really yields to the character of the areas that they serve. And we are really thrilled to be here because we very much want to collaborate with Sant and the Haitian communities of Miami to bring our self-help, grassroots, lived experience programming to the community. We don't replace what therapists do or clinicians do. We augment it in answering certain needs that nobody else does in terms of family support, tools for the family, tools for the individual living with mental illness, a network, a social network, and we build from within the community out. And we'll spend a couple minutes at the end talking about what we would like to do with the Haitian community, because NAMI becomes your organization led by your natural leaders within the community with our training and with our support.
Excellent.
And Denise is our program coordinator. As I mentioned, devoted a large chunk of her life for the past 2 years helping us build programming from basically 0 to 100 miles an hour throughout the community.
That's wonderful. But you said something, Susan, that caught my attention, which is that NAMI is volunteer-driven and that it is led by people with lived experiences.
That's correct.
So does this mean that your volunteers have direct experience with mental illness?
Absolutely.
How so? Tell me.
Either having experienced it themselves, and we call individuals peers who have done that, or their families. And families broadly defined. Family is really the important people in your network. It could be relatives, it could be close friends, who are challenged to help support an individual with mental illness who is trying to manage it. So it's absolutely volunteer driven, but answers to a evidence-based programming that's dictated with great fidelity by NAMI National in Washington, D.C.
That makes sense. And right now you've got a staff of what? One? Is that you? Oh, two.
We have-
So it's you,
yes,
Denise, and who else?
myself and Kathy Coppola, who's the executive director.
And say a little bit about what your job is. What's your role first, and then, of course, the NAMI package of services.
Absolutely, sure. Thank you very much for having us. So as program coordinator, I help coordinate and run what our programs are. Our current programs are family education, peer education, family support group, and peer support group. And to tell you a little bit about what those are, the education portion of it are classes. One would be for the family member, and the other one would be for the peer.
And so the education would be to familiarize the family members with
Correct.
the signs, okay.
Correct. The classes run the gamut of explaining what mental illnesses are, diagnosis, treatment, and then they talk about coping, communication skills. There's sessions on empathy, and then it ends with advocacy on how the families can advocate for their loved ones, and for the peer education class, how they can advocate for themselves, and they also are helped in creating a plan to help them stay on recovery.
Fantastic. And so in terms of the education, right, so you bring in family members, you bring in community members, significant others, faith-based leaders to sort of have the knowledge and the language, if you will, around mental illness as well, and particularly the diagnoses that are very popular, very common, right? So when you arm a family with this information, this then leads them to do what? To access services, to be advocates for their loved ones. What is that? How do they benefit?
Usually
from
what
that
happens is their first contact with us is through our helpline. They usually call looking for information.
Oh, so you have a helpline.
Yes, we have a
What's
helpline.
the number?
It's 305-665-2540.
665-2540. We'll have that put up on screen before the end.
Okay, great, thank you. So that usually is their first contact with us, where they might have heard maybe from a clinician or a friend about NAMI, and they want more information about what NAMI is. And our helpline volunteers are family members or peers in recovery with lived experience. And what that does when they talk, usually when they call the helpline, they're a little apprehensive and they're a little scared. Some of them might be in the middle of a crisis. So in talking with our helpline volunteers and them explaining that they too have had some experience with it, it disarms them and it helps kind of break down that stigma barrier. So they open up and they talk a little bit more about what their needs are. Then we connect them with our programs. Usually the next step is to attend either a family support group or a peer support group. And the groups work in that we have trained facilitators that are certified to run the support group, and they're just there to facilitate the conversation, to make sure that everyone that is there is not only sharing but getting what they need from the group.
Absolutely.
So ultimately,
those are facilitated by a certified NAMI trainer. That's important.
Correct.
That's important.
And the ultimate goal is that they benefit from the collective wisdom of the group.
And the living experiences that I imagine each family will have in dealing with someone someone they love who's mentally ill.
There's great shame and great isolation in every culture.
In every community.
And in every community with mental illness. And the immigrant communities and the communities of individuals that have suffered the kinds of stresses and traumas that the Haitian community has, it's even more underscored. Because this should not happen if I'm a good parent, or this should not happen if we're a good family. When the reality is that they're biological illnesses just like diabetes. And in fact, one of the things that Denise has, and the support groups, and Denise is a nationally certified state trainer, which means she can train facilitators. So we have local
facilitators
capacity
for support groups.
Correct.
And it's also empowering to hear stories of recovery and success, because what people don't understand is that mental illness has as high a recovery rate, can have as high a recovery rate,
providing the support is sought.
Other illness.
Right.
It is not a life sentence of a continuity of crisis.
Right. And so let's talk a little bit about the statistics very vaguely. I know that I read somewhere that 4 of 10 individuals can be diagnosed with a mental illness, right? All around us, right? So could you maybe highlight some of the more startling facts that we know about mental illness?
Are you sure? You're going
Is
to
it
need
for
a scotch when we're finished. Yeah, happy to do it. Yes, it's prevalent. It's 75% of the cases strike before the age of 24, so it's a young people's illness. We're ignoring the needs of our youth and young adults. It can lead to long-term dysfunction.
Providing no one recognizes
If it's
the
untreated.
symptoms.
In the United States, unfortunately, the average time between onset of symptoms and diagnosis could be 10 years.
And we've seen
which-
some really terrible manifestations of
Exactly. It takes advocacy and knowledge to be able to put together a program that will help yourself or your loved one to really go through to achieve recovery. It's also an illness that can unfortunately be terminal. Suicide is the second largest cause of death in young people under the age of 30, and 90% of suicides are related to
mental illness.
untreated mental illness, both depression as well as cognitive mental illnesses. So there's a very huge need. There's a shortage of practitioners nationwide. The shortage in Florida is even bigger. And so NAMI's programs really augment the clinical approaches to helping those with mental illness and their
Absolutely.
families.
We're going to go to break really soon, but I want you to say a little bit about these support groups, because I think there's such great value in sitting around with people who have lived mental illness directly or indirectly and can then be there to just be examples of success, if I can put it that way.
Absolutely. I think the biggest takeaway for families and peers when they come to a support group is that they're not alone. When they begin to open up about the issues that they're having and they hear other people sharing, they find that there's a lot of commonalities. And then in talking about how they've handled it and in being directed by the facilitators as to the realistic, right, the cause of actions. What are the needs that you need? Is it to become more knowledgeable? Is it to create some kind of network of support? All of those things leads them to that next step where they become empowered with more information, and then they feel like they are better equipped to handle the illness. So it's dynamic changing for them.
So we're going to hear more about that when we come back for the second segment. So we want to thank you. You'll join us a little bit later.
Okay.
On pourra prendre première pause téléspectateurs. On va retourner tout de suite avec deux autres membres NAMI qui pourraient parler un petit peu plus de certains programmes et certains services qu'ils offrent à travers la communauté. So we'll be right back.
Ou ka wè pou ki sa plus moun chwazi Florida Blue. C'est pas juste pour priya. Ou besoin plus passer kat la. Ou besoin vrai avantage, service ou besoin, lè ou besoin. Nan même docteur, l'hôpital ak pharmacie qui nan katiye ou. Gen l'autre compagnie assurance de santé qui vini et qui ale. Mais Florida Blue, li toujours là pour nous. Et li gen plan de santé qui adapté avec la vie ou et avec budget. Relais 786 541 0602 pour parler avec un agent de Florida Blue avant date là. Agent Panouayo ka aide à acheter assurance de santé sans tête chargée. Relais 786 541 0602 jeudi parce que temps presque arrivé. Si vous pas inscrit avant le 15 décembre, ou gen droit pas capable jusqu'à 2019.
What?
Relais 786 541 0602 pour parler avec un agent nous. Également, ou ka visiter site là sur internet là par aller à floridablue.com pour joindre un agent de Florida Blue qui est tout près.
Be a part of the most exciting annual giving event in South Florida. On November 16th, for 24 hours, you can make a donation to your favorite organization at givemiamiday.org. Gifts can be made using a credit, debit, or qualifying gift card. Support organizations in our community, such as Sant, Gang Alternative, ADEP, FUM, HANA, and HACDC. On November 16th, join the movement and make a difference.
Vous cherchez une télévision de référence? Alors, branchez à la TV.
De retour, téléspectateurs, avec deuxième segment édition aujourd'hui. On a parlé de santé mentale, on a parlé d'importance santé mentale à travers toute population Miami-Dade County, inclus population haïtienne. Non? Eh bien, deuxième série invitée nous, c'est deux autres membres, NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness, pas vrai? So Dr. Anna and Dr. Vanessa, right? Both of you have personal experiences with not just NAMI, but with mental illness. So let's begin with you, Dr. Anna. Tell us a little bit about your professional background, and then we'll get into your personal experience with NAMI, and the same for you, Dr. Vanessa.
Sure. Thank you again. Merci beaucoup pour l'invitation.
Au plaisir.
I am a professional social worker, clinical social worker, and I have a doctorate in education. I'm a teacher, adjunct instructor at Barry University, and previously at FIU, as well as at Simmons College. And my background was actually in counseling for many years, counseling families, adolescents, in Canada, where I lived prior to moving to Miami. So mental illness is definitely a very different thing when it's looked at academically than when it's looked at and seen personally. And that is, I guess, the voyage that I made and my family made when we moved here. Our middle daughter, who was then a college student, suffered depression, and it was something that she had never experienced prior, coincidentally, but not necessarily coincidentally in light of what Susan had said and what the literature says, which is she was young, she was in her 20s, she was at the age for this to begin. We were devastated, and we did not have any experience with the resources in Miami. We were quite lost, and that, I think, made it very difficult to help her. And so all of a sudden my professional hat was off, and I could feel and see what it was like to be the parent of somebody suffering. She went on to make a number of suicide attempts, but thankfully survived and is doing well today. NAMI was there 100%. My husband and I attended a support group, and I find it's I guess the best way to express it is it feels as though you have come home when you're amongst people who understand, that you do not have to explain, and that there's no stigma attached, because the other people in the room are other parents or their siblings, spouses, and they really know what you're saying. And I think that's part of the problem, and that's what I try now to explain to my students, that the stigma is devastating, and it stops people, including the family members, from getting help. And so we need, as professionals, also to reach out and make sure that people in the community know about these groups, and know that there are groups here that have people experiencing the same
resources,
thing.
Absolutely. Plus the support group and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But Dr. Vanessa, I want you to talk a little bit about your personal NAMI journey.
Okay, thank you, and thanks for having us. I received my PhD in developmental psychology at FIU in 2014. Since then, I was teaching at ASA College right here down the street in North Miami Beach, and my experience with NAMI actually came about through my personal experience. At the age of 17, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I was subsequently hospitalized in an adolescent unit at the time. Those who are underage are generally at an adolescent unit. And I really was there for 2 weeks and was trying to figure out what was going on, and eventually came with this diagnosis. And I really can speak to what was just said recently about stigma, because I was generally told by mental health professionals and by family members not to tell anybody about what had happened. And so we came across this whole story that we were going to tell about what took place and why was I unavailable or not around town for X amount of time. And so that kind of really did, I think, make an impression upon me. As far as being what is called referred to as a peer, or somebody who has mental illness, I did not accept my diagnosis at first. At first I said, well, this doesn't apply to me. This is not who I am. This does not represent me. And I also was, I did not want to enter treatment for various reasons. I was going to college. I didn't want side effects of medication. So there was a lapse of time between when I was diagnosed and when I really started to engage in a more proactive treatment approach. So that there was about a gap of, I would say, 5 or 7 years of that. And you know, as Anna was mentioning about the family, you know, my family also was suffering with me as well. My family background is from South America and Brazil and Argentina. There's definitely a cultural component to how we talk about mental illness and what does that look like and what does the treatment look like and what is the discussion, if any, about that, and how do we differentiate, say, for example, somebody feeling down between that and experiencing depression, or somebody having a concerned sense of alertness versus experiencing paranoia. And this is
Somebody recognizing that someone isn't their full selves.
Yes, and so I talk about this in my classes, but I think we address this as well in NAMI as well. And again, you're among a group of people that understand where someone is coming from. We can look at whether or not these symptoms affect a person's daily functioning and whether or not somebody is able to carry on their daily routines. And a lot of times the first person to be able to notice that will be close friends or family members. And so I became involved in NAMI because I was going through a difficult time and I needed the support. I have a close friend who's going to be visiting from Chicago that told me about NAMI. She's involved up there in NAMI Chicago area. And I got involved with the peer support group and found a lot of good support there from people who were experiencing similar things. And since then, I've been able to complete the peer-to-peer education course, and I've also become a peer support group facilitator. So I currently facilitate 2 groups a month in Spanish and English over in our office in Coral Gables near Miracle Mile.
Excellent. Are you able to tell us how long it's been since your diagnosis?
It's been approximately 20 years.
20 years. Wow.
Yes.
And so you found NAMI 7 years ago, did you say?
Oh, actually, I became involved in NAMI actually about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
That's fantastic. So that support system, that support group has been instrumental in empowering you to sort of, I guess, take control of what, of how to make yourself better, I guess, if I could say that.
Yes, and I think, you know, there's a lot of things to be, a lot of things that go along with a diagnosis of mental illness. For example, the treatment is not always so straightforward. It's not always you're going to see one doctor and take one medication and do one therapy and that's going to be it. Very frequently, it's a trial and error process, and that can take a significant amount of time.
And that assumes that the patient is also very involved in their treatment plans.
Yes.
So they can tell you if
Yes.
something is working or not.
Well, one of the things that I think is interesting about mental illness as opposed to other illnesses, it's the one condition where the condition itself can prevent the person from getting help. The condition itself, for example, let's say if somebody was experiencing paranoia, they're going to be less likely to want to talk to somebody because they may be experiencing those symptoms.
Absolutely.
And then if you
Absolutely.
compound the condition with the stigma that we were talking about before, that makes it doubly difficult, I think, to address. So.
And so for you, Anna, you know, with the child experiencing depression, so you find NAMI. So how is this, I don't want to call it a chance meeting because clearly someone directed you
Yes,
to NAMI.
that's correct.
So how has your involvement in NAMI empowered you to be more supportive of your daughter and to maybe see this field with different colored glasses, if I could say that?
Well, I guess I would say, first of all, just to be with her without judgment, to you know, refrain from judging, to really listen, not to be so preoccupied with the what ifs, because of course as a parent and even as a consumer, I mean, you think of, well, what if this had not happened? Then you know, my child would have gone down this road or that road. They would have been able to achieve certain things. So I'm able to put those things aside
So
just
what
by
ifs don't
simply
exist for you.
Right,
That's good. But when you say not to judge, right? So what kinds of judgment would you have been prone to make prior to your involvement with NAMI?
I think one that I see even professionally, and certainly talk about with my students, that a lot of people have, which is kind of, if you're depressed, pull up your bootstraps and just get on with it. You know, you can make a difference. You should be
You're
able
strong.
to pull yourself together. That has an element of judgment in it, and nobody who's experiencing that depression would want to do otherwise if they could help themselves.
Good
And
point.
so I think that that's a lesson I learned listening to other parents at NAMI. And for me, I know I felt that the support they gave to me, I want to be able to give back to other people,
others.
and so I've gotten involved and joined their board and help as much as I can. I'd like to see people in the community find this out, the Haitian community and all through Miami, so that they don't have to waste those years, the years that Vanessa's talking about, the years that other parents do, suffering, you know, while waiting.
And that suffering takes, you know, many shapes. You know, people hide, people deny,
Right.
people assume that there are other things at play. They assume that this is a passing thing. So
A lot of blaming.
Lots of blaming for sure. Lots of blaming indeed. All right, so we're gonna go for a break, but before we do, I'd ask each of you to maybe have one word of encouragement to viewers who are either experiencing a form of mental illness, or who have children or relatives, close relatives who are experiencing mental. What would you say to them? Let's
Have
go with
hope.
you.
Have hope and feel and know that there's
help.
a group like us out there that can help you, and that things can get better. I mean, I think the story I'm telling you and the one that Vanessa has told are very strong examples of how things can get
And
better.
how long has your daughter been much better now?
Oh, she's been better for about 3 years.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. How about you, Dr. Vanessa?
I think that before I got into treatment, my life wasn't going in a way that I had wanted. Once I really went into the treatment and got involved with a resource like NAMI, I was able to achieve things I wasn't able to before. I was able to complete degrees and succeed
Psychology.
in academia. And so I really think that you know, it's
Very
as
much
was
so.
mentioned before. It's not a you know, it's not a sentence of a person's life is over. I think it's really an opportunity to grow, and it's an opportunity to reach out and to also just be aware that there are other people that are going through similar things, and that people that are experiencing that, they're not alone.
Thank you. Both your stories are hopeful, inspirational, and
you.
really tell the viewing audience that there is help and there's hope if that help is sought. Right? Thank you so much for joining
for
us
having
for this
us.
segment. So we're going to come back after the break. N'a pas tourné après pause là, puis n'a pas tourné avec Susan et Denise. À tout de suite.
Quality childcare is your child's start to a great future, so aim high. To prepare your kids to grow up to fulfill their dreams, the Children's Trust encourages you to ask your childcare provider if they're part of the Quality Counts program in Miami-Dade County. Quality Counts strives to improve quality in childcare by star rating providers on things like an atmosphere that promotes learning, teacher certification, student-teacher ratios, and so much more. To find a star-rated Quality Counts or accredited childcare provider near you, log on to thechildrenstrust.org or call 211.
Be a part of the most exciting annual giving event in South Florida. On November 16th, for 24 hours, you can make a donation to your favorite organization at givemiamidade.org. Gifts can be made using a credit, debit, or qualifying gift card. Support organizations in our community, such as Sant, Gang Alternative, ADEP, FAM, HANA, and HACDC. On November 16th, join the movement and make a difference.
Ou ka wè pou ki sa plus moun chwazi Florida Blue. Se pa jist pou priya. Ou bezwen plus pase kat la. Ou bezwen vre avantaj, servis ou bezwen ya, le ou bezwen. Nan menm dokter, l'hopital ak famasi ki nan katiye ou. Gen lot kompani assurance de santé ki vini e ki ale. Men Florida Blue li toujou la pou nou. E li gen plan de santé ki adapte avek la vi ou e avek bije ou. relez 786-541-0602 pour parler avec un agent de Florida Blue avant date là. Agent pa nou an yo ka aide ou acheter assurance de santé sans tête chargée. Relez 786-541-0602 jodi ya parce que temps presque arrivé. Si ou pas inscrit avant le 15 décembre, ou gen droit pas capable jusqu'à 2019.
What?
Relez 786-541-0602 pour ka parler avec yon agent nou yo. Également, ou ka visiter site là sur internet là par aller à floridablue.com pour joindre yon agent de Florida Blue qui est tout près ou.
Voilà, nous de retour téléspectateurs avec le troisième segment édition aujourd'hui. Eh bien, Denise et Susan de retour avec nous et nous avons continué la conversation autour du service NAMI. So Susan and Denise, we just had a two fantastic examples of NAMI's success, one, but personal successes of two people who really experienced mental illness up close and personal, right? Mm-hmm. Is there anything you want to say about that by way of comment around either what they shared or how NAMI can help support other families, other individuals to experience that level of success?
Oh, absolutely. It's no coincidence that mental illness onset occurs with young people when they're engaging in big transitions in their lives, going from adolescence to young adulthood, starting a job, leaving high school, going to college.
Though I guess the literature suggests that, and I think those of us who are in the profession or in the field know that. But unfortunately, that is not, I think, well known.
It's not well known.
It's not known in the schools.
No.
It's not known by parents, and clearly not by the young kids themselves.
Right. And these transitions create stress. Mm-hmm. Also, transitions and uncertainties such as the kind that the Haitian community is constantly living with, particularly in this climate, creates that stress as well. Mm-hmm. And so, how can NAMI help, and what are the roles of our support groups? One is identifying whether there's a problem at all. Mm-hmm. What are the characteristics of mental illness? Is your loved one changing in their sleeping habits, in their eating habits? Are they concerned about individuals following them or spying on them, or being in the wrong place where they are, and why are they here? That's paranoia, and that's a symptom.
Okay, hallucinations.
Concerns. And it doesn't just happen overnight. So I've seen young people, including people I know very well, who start very slowly, checking on their family to see if they're okay, and then increasing the frequency of that until things start to manifest into something more serious. Are they sleeping a lot, or not sleeping at all?
I could see not
changes. Depression could be a lot of sleeping. Changes in school habits. A great student or a social young person becomes less social, changes their friends. These are the kinds of things that we notice as families, and the secret sauce to NAMI, if you will, is that the family and the individual living with these feelings are at the first line of experience in dealing with it. While we have great clinicians and great programs in Miami and throughout the United States, it's really this close circle that sees that first. And so we can help
as principal
caregiver for that person, especially the young person who has one foot in the home and one foot in the adult world. And we can really help in that transition, because it's very hard. Nobody teaches you how to parent somebody who shouldn't need that kind of parenting anymore.
And I'm so glad you raised this point about the stress that transitions bring about in young adults, right? And so those transitions are generally tied to, you graduating from middle school into high school, or from high school into college. Maybe you're going out there in the world of work. maybe you're getting deployed, maybe you're sort of questioning your sexuality, and all of those things.
Maybe you're worried about the family that you left behind in Haiti,
true. Or you're
and,
worried about what's
anguished
happening-
about what's happening in the country.
What's happening
In
in your
Washington-
household,
right.
your family, your parents getting divorced, your parents losing work, and you see the stress that brings on them, and so that too can trigger.
And the stress of poverty.
Absolutely.
And so our support groups are free to everybody. Our programs are all free, and all are welcome to attend to understand what it is that they're experiencing and whether it's something that needs additional assistance.
Or additional assistance or very specific
Treatment.
menu
Right.
of assistance, treatments, and other services. I'd love for you, Denise, to talk a little bit, or maybe just highlight a few of the key conditions that we've grown very familiar with. So we know about depression, we know about bipolar disorder. What else is out there that relatively common that maybe our viewers would hear about and maybe actually see in their own home and not be able to name it as one of the mental disorders that are rampant out there?
Sure. So one would be PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And that can be caused not just by returning veterans, just a traumatic event in your life can cause some form of PTSD.
Somebody surviving an earthquake or
Yeah,
seeing
absolutely.
an entire family
That's correct.
be wiped out because of an earthquake.
Correct, and immigrants suffer also PTSD, some form of it, just from the big change of leaving their country and coming here, especially if it's under.
The mode of travel, I imagine.
Absolutely. And then there's also things like borderline personality disorder. Some autism spectrums or Asperger's have also some type of mental illness also that goes along with it. So, and there's really many different type of diagnoses.
Understood.
I think the focus is not so much on the diagnosis, but on treating the symptoms. I think a lot of the families that come to us at the beginning are very focused on getting a diagnosis, but initially it's very difficult to do that because symptoms change over the years, and sometimes some symptoms are similar to a different diagnosis. And so I try to help them understand at the beginning that it's more about getting them the help and the resources they need for their loved one, and just becoming as educated as they can so that they can understand that it's not a short-term process. It's
But
a
Denise,
long-term process.
What you're highlighting, though, is a situation in which a family member, a loved one, is alert enough or familiar enough with the condition to say, well, let me seek help because this isn't normal. I think
Correct.
in the Haitian community, there's so much of the same going on, and folks either aren't able to identify a problem when the problem exists,
Correct.
much less to seek assistance. So how do we then encourage people to maybe pay attention and seek assistance, and then, they can follow up and get all of the resources and all the help they need?
Right. Well, I think that keeping an eye on what's going on with their loved one would be very important. If they start to isolate, if they start to, sleep too much or not eat, different things like that could be red flags, if you will, that something might be going on. And most importantly, maintaining an open line of communication with your loved one, especially in a way that doesn't come across as aggressive or critical or judgmental to them, so that they're open about that. In my personal case, my son, who has a bipolar diagnosis, had become very depressed, and he didn't want to talk about it. He would
How old was
just,
he?
he was 21 at the
onset?
time, and whenever I asked him about it, he would say he was fine, because he felt that if he did open up about, that he was feeling so bad or that he was having suicidal thoughts, that it was him being weak, that it was a weakness.
But how did you know? How did you know to insist and to persist in asking him?
I didn't initially.
Okay.
I didn't, and it wasn't until a failed suicide attempt that I was kind of awakened to what was going on. I didn't know anything about mental illness. I also was part of that societal stigma where I think that doesn't happen to, everyday normal families. We're
Right.
not a dysfunctional family.
Right.
That can't be going on here. But mental illness doesn't discriminate, social,
certainly
economic,
not.
or cultural. It doesn't. So I started finding out information, and we got into treatment. But the most important part that I learned about NAMI was that the clinical portion of it is just one small piece. This is a human being, and to treat a whole human being, it takes much more than just the clinical treatment, which is why NAMI was so key for me when I became involved with NAMI, and I got informed that there's just so much more to it. For a person to stay in recovery, they need that network of support. They
So
need
critical.
that line of communication, that open line of communication, but also to know that they're not alone. They deserve love and respect just like anyone else. It's just an organic brain disorder, and
that services and
correct,
treatments are available.
correct, and that
right?
recovery is not only possible, but it should be expected, and that's what NAMI wants to do. That's the
Fantastic.
word we're trying to get out there.
Fantastic, and we're happy to join you in this challenge, because we recognize that in our community there's much denial, much turning the other cheek or doing the ostrich, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Thing. So there's much of that, and I think that if we join forces with you, we can continue to educate. We can continue to make sure to outreach to families and to individuals who need the services, need the support, and to remind them that they're not alone.
And we
You're
do it.
absolutely right.
We do it on a number of different levels, including an annual film festival in
good.
May. And one way to really destigmatize the conversation about mental illness is to have artful short films addressing these serious topics
nice. How
in
is this?
whimsical ways, in hopeful ways, with speakers. So we do
We
a
have
lot
a slide
more.
of that. We're showing it right now. Right.
We do a lot more than the support groups, and we would like to create a call of action to the community to join hands with us so that we can bring these programs and build community capacity
to
in
address.
Little Haiti, in North Miami, in all of the areas that need this kind of work, so that we can join hands and help the caregivers and help the people living with mental illness to be more proactive, to be more empowered, and to be joined in a group and a community that understands and is supportive of what needs to be done to help them heal.
Absolutely. And I love what you said, Denise, and that treatment is available, and that being able to fully function should be the expectation.
That's correct.
And that with all that's available today, that's indeed possible if only so many people made the first step.
That's right.
That's correct.
So I want to thank you so very much. This is
Thank
just
you.
but the
This-
first of many more
Yes.
similar segments. I
We're
think
hopeful about that.
this is the beginning of a beautiful something. It's not like NAMI.
Yes.
And so
Absolutely.
absolutely, I think this call to action also involves organizations such as us. And gladly, we join you in making sure that our families, our community members understand that there's no shame in mental illness, and that it is, as you said, another form of illness. Your brain is ill, just as you could be diabetic, you could suffer from high blood pressure, you could have heart disease, and so there are treatments available.
And one important note is that access to treatment should not be a barrier for insurance or lack of insurance. There's an organization in the community called South Florida Behavioral
That's right.
Network
That offers
that
free
offers mental health counseling and substance abuse help, and there are community mental health centers that do as well. And South Florida Behavioral, and perhaps you can put the number up for them, has a Creole line for the community as
Fantastic.
well.
Fantastic.
So there are resources. It's a matter of accessing them. It's a matter of knowing that you need them, and then having the self-empowerment to seek
to
them out.
actually make that first,
To make
take
that-
that first
take
step,
that
make
first
that
step.
first call. So I want to thank you, Susan.
Thank
you,
you.
Denise.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
for having
NAMI, and continued success.
Thank
right?
you.
Donc, nous retournons tout de suite, téléspectateurs, avec dernier segment. Dernier segment, c'est l'équipe Sant là, c'est l'équipe expert en santé mentale qui pourra parler nous d'un petit peu de services que nous-mêmes nous offrons, comment nous capables d'accompagner un monde dans la communauté hein, qui a gagné une difficulté que nous sommes mentionnés là. Donc, à tout de suite.
Be Be a part of the most exciting annual giving event in South Florida. On November 16th, for 24 hours, you can make a donation to your favorite organization at givemiamiday.org. Gifts can be made using a credit, debit, or qualifying gift card. Support organizations in our community, such as Sant, Gang Alternative, ADEP, FAM, HANA, and HACDC. On November 16th, join the movement and make a difference.
Ou ka wè pou ki sa plus moun chwazi Florida Blue. Se pa jist pou priya. Ou bezwen plus pase kat la. Ou bezwen vre avantaj, servis ou bezwen, lè ou bezwen. Nan menm dokter, l'hôpital ak pharmacie ki nan katiye ou. Gen lot kompagnie assurance de santé qui vini et qui allait. Mais Florida Blue est toujours là pour nous. Et il y a un plan de santé qui est adapté avec la vie et avec budget. Relais 786 541 0602 pour parler avec un agent de Florida Blue avant date là. Agent Panouayo ka aide à acheter assurance de santé sans tête chargée. Relais 786 541 0602 jeudi parce que temps presque arrivé. Si vous pas inscrit avant le 15 décembre, ou gen doit pas capable jusqu'à 2019.
What?
Relais 786 541 0602 pour parler avec un agent nous. Également, ou ka visiter site là sur internet là par aller à floridablue.com pour joindre un agent de Florida Blue qui est tout près.
Quality childcare is your child's start to a great future, so aim high. To prepare your kids to grow up to fulfill their dreams, the Children's Trust encourages you to ask your childcare provider if they're part of the Quality Counts program in Miami-Dade County. Quality Counts strives to improve quality in childcare by star rating providers on things like an atmosphere that promotes learning, teacher certification, student-teacher ratios, and so much more. To find a star-rated Quality Counts or accredited childcare provider near you, log on to thechildrenstrust.org or call 211.
Voilà, nous de retour téléspectateurs. J'en te promets là, c'est le dernier segment nous. Et pendant ce segment ça, nous pourrons faire connaissance avec deux nouveaux membres équipe Sant là. On va parler de Vanessa Renfort et de Marilyn Nelson. Eh bien, tous deux, mesdames sérieux, c'est des experts en santé mentale tout. Donc, il était important pour émission aujourd'hui nous montrer nous exemple dans l'autre communauté côté justement un problème de santé mentale. Ça et comment il y a pas organisé pour faire face à problème et pour joindre toutes ressources et aides qui disponibles pour faire ça. Donc dans la communauté pas nous en tout c'est ça n'est-ce pas? Donc avant que d'entrer dans peut-être programme Sant là que nous chaque bail téléspectateur entier aperçu ou bien pour faire connaissance avec nous. Pas vrai Marilyn qui commence avec vous?
Bonsoir téléspectateurs, dis nous merci parce que nous invitons venir la caille nous aujourd'hui. Moi-même c'est un employé fier de Sant là, j'ai un master's degree in counseling avec deux certificats en mental health counseling et marriage and family therapy. So ça veut dire que je servi avec famille et puis je servi avec individuel tout et puis timoun adolescent tout l'âge. Et puis que ce soit problème, que ce soit issue que nous rencontrions.
Très bien. Et vous-même, Vanessa?
Bonsoir téléspectateurs, non, moi c'est Vanessa Renfort. Moi j'ai un bachelor en social work et moi j'ai un master en social work tout. Moi c'est un youth family counselor. Je travaille dans ça.
Très bien, très bien. Bon, j'aimerais que peut-être avant de commencer nous tous deux, dites téléspectateurs, qui ça mène nous dans le domaine ça? Marilyn, why mental health and family therapy and counseling and you too, Vanessa? Pour qui ça?
Bon, ça mène pour moi-même spécialement why mental health? Parce que toujours me trouver toute carrière toute carrière a servi remen service remen bail service et moi remen l'aime fin ba un service me senti que à cause que chaque fois on seul monde fait on rencontre avant mais que ou bien vie mon nan vinn changer ou bien mon nan vinn gon espoir que bagay yo ka changer. Donc c'est ça qui m'a fierté, c'est ça qui aide me vivre. So c'est ça que fait toujours toute carrière passer dans service et que mental health là son bagay me penser qui non seulement nécessaire qui critique dans la communauté haïtienne parce que nous-mêmes quelquefois nous pas comme si voulait accepter que ka gen des stresseuses ou bien ka gen de ti problème qui cause nou gen mental health ou bien yon crise qui passe dans vie moun nan qui vient causer moun nan gen maladie mentale parce que nous beaucoup vraiment accepter ça yo. Donc penser li vraiment yon fierté pour moi pour me faire partie de team de groupe ça qui porter éducation ça pour communauté haïtienne parce que vous pensez que c'est très important pour me faire partie de team nan qui éduquer communauté.
Très bien. Merci Marilyn et vous-même Vanessa. Qui ça mène qui ça poussé à entrer dans le domaine ça?
Bon, première expérience qui poussait à rentrer dans le domaine ça, moi j'ai un petit qui a 11 ans et puis qui était diagnosé avec mental illness. Après médicaments, après traitement, il fonctionnait très bien. Et moi, je crois si nous passons pas de joindre ça qui est early intervention, pour me commencer bonheur, pour chercher traitement, chercher intervention pour lui, qu'on n'est pas capable de fonctionner normalement.
Très bien. Et pas rien de meilleur que raison personnelle, motivation personnelle, tant que toute l'invité que nous avons là, l'équipe NAMI, nous avons regardé que tout dit nous que c'est des gens qui ont une expérience personnelle, soit parce que petit yo fait expérience en problème mental, ou bien yo même personnellement. Particulièrement, Dr. Vanessa, qui est docteur en psychologie, je dis, personne ne peut pas croire que son monde qui a un diagnostic, comment on dit ça? Bipolar disorder. Pas vrai? Donc, c'est bien, Marilyn leur dit que dans la communauté haïtienne, non seulement nous pas trop familiers avec toutes variantes santé mentale, toutes différents diagnostics comme on gagne, mais nous pas toujours accepter que maladie mentale c'est maladie même genre que moun gen l'autre maladie. Nous pas si nous arriver à accepter le comme ça, peut-être que nous t'a plus loin en ce qui a trait à aller au docteur, aller au expert qui va aider nous gérer conditions ça, n'est-ce pas? Absolument. Maintenant, selon nous-mêmes comment justement ce centre-là a positionné le journée aujourd'hui pour nous commencer à faire travail éducation ça.
Bon, encore une fois, m'a dit félicitations à Madame Metellus parce que pour porter programme ça pour la communauté haïtienne et moi avec Vanessa nous très fiers parce que nous faisons partie de team qui vient commencer pour porter programme ça yo pour la communauté haïtienne. Parce que nous trouvons dans la communauté, comme on se dit, il fait diabète, à la longue, la parler avec le docteur. Il y a un rhume, la parler avec le docteur. Mais quand c'est maladie mentale, il pense qu'on nous cache ça, ou bien on nous ignore ça et puis ça passe. OK? Donc, dans ce centre-là, nous avons un programme qui est le renforcement pour famille. Renforcement pour famille, nous-mêmes, moi-même avec Vanessa, moi-même c'est directrice de ce programme, et puis Vanessa c'est un youth counselor. Nous portons programme pour famille, côté que depuis famille nan suspect que yo gen ti problème avec ti moun yo, que nan comportement ti moun yo ou bien que c'est dans l'école là yo ouais deux fois l'école yo appelé plusieurs fois comportement ti moun yo passe ça yo t'a supposé dans l'école là ou bien dans l'école son bagage dans la caille surtout son bagage qui facile pour famille pour madame pour maman yo ouais papa yo ouais les ti moun yo pas comporter yo bien parce que commencer ouais ti signes ti symptômes qui gentil moun ou bien surtout nous penser l'autre ti moun nan vinn sur l'école il rentrer dans chambre ni nous pas demander ti moun nan causer son bagage normal gon série de bagage faut nous apprendre non seulement pas seulement garder yo mais questionner yo tout parce que yo cap aider nous de nous ouvrir nous pour nous une série de problèmes qui comme si abdormi et puis à la longue parce que comme se dit déjà à la longue il suffit que moun nan gen yon ti crise dans vie ou bien yon adaptation de sauter dans high school pour aller dans collège ou bien ti moun nan saute nan gen yon nan parents yo qui ou bien mouri yon nan ou bien deux parents yo divorcé tout bagay ça yo ka cause ça qui relè yon trigger pour n'importe moun dans famille nan que ti moun que grand moun et puis à l'aide de ça ouvert moun nan vient commencer montrer symptômes maladie mentale.
Mais Vanessa, c'est vrai, Marilyn s'est annoncé que ou même tout fait partie de l'équipe là et particulièrement où sont youth and family counselor. Maintenant, expérience qu'on fait avec jeunes surtout dans l'école côté où tu travailles là, est-ce que bon, alors c'est une question qui est un petit peu délicate pour me poser, mais alors même tu les connais, est-ce que ouais en pile cas jeunes qui peut-être besoin assistance ça, ne pas dire que yo malade non, mais n'a dit que c'est des petits monde qui besoin d'une intervention quelconque. Est-ce que vous rencontrez ça
Bien sûr, Madame Metellus, moi, je travaille dans high school, et puis j'ai plus d'expérience avec jeunes. Dans la position que je suis comme social worker, en pile en conversation que je n'ai pas discuté avec professeurs ou bien avec parents, c'est moi-même que je dis. Dans notre Miami High School, qui sont une population qui est capable de dire jusqu'à 90% même c'est haïtien, jeunes ont expériencé en pile difficulté. Surtout dans la communauté, ils ont senti qu'ils n'ont pas à l'aise pour parler avec les parents.
Ça, c'est number one.
Ils n'ont pas à l'aise pour parler avec les parents. Donc, quand Madame Nelson dit ça qui arrive parfois, les jeunes ont fait des années, la expérience en pile difficulté, ou ont problème de culture, ou ont problème d'adaptation, et jeunes ont sorti à Haïti, ils vivent avec papa, et puis quand ils viennent ici, ils vivent avec maman, ou bien la vivre avec un cousin, on boit peine en Kaila. Tous ces problèmes ça ont affecté la santé mentale jeune.
Et donc, tout ça qui a éclaté d'un moment à l'autre.
N'importe comment. C'est quand on a arrêté les grands piles, ça nous les stressors. Problème, les quitter pays, les quitter papa, ou bien la vivre avec
ou bien quitter maman.
Ou bien quitter maman. Séparation, c'est une stress qui est difficile en pile. Et puis, il ne pas parler, il ne pas partager avec un pile monde. Qui a aidé, qui a montré qui technique pour l'utiliser, pour l'adapter. Et puis, n'importe bagaille, n'importe stress qu'elle gagne, elle doit affecter.
C'est ça.
Pour les move là de l'autre côté, maman perd du travail, ou bien les papas sont classe, ça c'est une stress qui doit faire l'éclater à n'importe moment.
C'est ça. Et nous voyons ça avec un pile jeune. Et justement, si, par exemple, jeune ça a gain moun qui est autour de lui, qui est capable et encourager le parler, encourager le défouler. Et l'homme dit mon autour de lui, c'est qu'il doit parents, c'est qu'il doit paix, c'est qu'il doit pasteur l'église, c'est qu'il doit un adulte dans la ville qui non seulement permettent de défouler, mais qui a bal bon gens guidance tout, n'est-ce pas?
Oui.
Et justement, c'est ça qui manque.
Et ça qui est important, Gepsie, c'est pas nécessairement que les parents ont l'opportunité pour défouler là. C'est pas que ou ka résoudre le problème non, mais il suffit que ou mandé ti moun nan qui j'en jour t'es passé l'école, qui j'en pensé, qui
conversation,
commencer conversation, au moins commencer conversation, ou a fait ti moun nan penser que oui, OK, moins important. Au moins, ça veut dire maman a pour ouvrir porte là pour moi, papa m'ouvrir porte là pour moi pour nous gagner au moins commencer une conversation qui est très important parce que le problème avec Timoun c'est que l'essentiel en pile fois yo pas penser que yo gagne aucun monde qui veut l'entendre.
C'est ça. Mais de toute façon, c'est un premier aperçu en connaissance que nous avons fait avec Marilyn et Vanessa. Tous les deux font partie de l'équipe Sant là et c'est des spécialistes en thérapie, en santé mentale et tout ça. Donc, ça veut dire que c'est des jeunes ou bien des adultes, s'ils ont besoin d'un monde pour nous parler avec lui, s'ils ont besoin d'assistance quelconque, si petit nous besoin d'assistance, pas hésiter, relais-nous, parce que si nous n'avons pas de solution, n'a pas encouragé à aller côté solution qui a existé pour eux. Donc, comme on dit, c'est un petit aperçu que nous devons faire pour nous introduire le sujet santé mentale, pour nous encourager nous être plus alerte autour de questions ça. Et puis, dans l'autre édition, qui va venir dans le futur, dans l'avenir, on peut parler un petit peu plus de sujet ça, qui là dans la communauté, et puis c'est comme si nous pas au courant de lui, n'est-ce pas? Donc, merci que vous avez accepté l'invitation pour participer avec moi aujourd'hui. Merci téléspectateurs de participation par nous. Pas oublier, nous toujours dans la période Open Enrollment pour Obamacare, ici et les centres là pour prendre un rendez-vous, s'il vous plaît, pour ne pas arrêter tant trop longtemps, pour faire ça, si c'est ça qui intéresse. Nous gagnons tout appointement, mais rendez-vous pour les gens qui ont besoin de naturaliser. Relez-nous dans ce centre-là pour prendre rendez-vous pour ça. Pas oublier l'équipe Early Learning Coalition, c'est les gens qui aident nous chercher garderie, chercher VPK, chercher pre-K pour les gens. Là, tout relais pour prendre rendez-vous, pour parler avec eux, pour aider aux joindre services qu'on a besoin. Donc d'ici là, nous avons un rendez-vous pour l'autre édition de Teleskopi. Merci que nous t'ayez partagé et soyez ici avec nous aujourd'hui. À la prochaine.